Tractate Kereisos, General Introduction. Tractate Kereisos deals with the sins for which the punishment is kares, literally cutting off, a form of heavenly retribution explained below. The name Kereisos, which is the plural form of kares, does not refer to multiple kares penalties, but to multiple transgressions that are punishable by kares. Rambam, Introduction to Commentary on the Mishnah. The first Mishnah of the tractate lists 36 such transgressions. In some cases of kares-bearing transgressions, the sinner is also subject to the death penalty imposed by a human court. However, the death penalty is not applied unless at least two witnesses testify to the court that they observed the sinner commit the transgression and that they or others had warned him just before the act that he would receive the death penalty for it. Kares is inflicted by the heavenly court only where the human court cannot apply the death penalty, either because the transgression was not observed by witnesses or because the sinner was not warned. Almost all kares-bearing transgressions that are not punishable by the death penalty are punishable by malchus. Here too, the court does not impose the punishment unless there were witnesses to the transgression and the sinner was warned. If someone commits a kares-bearing sin unintentionally, for example, he did not know that the act is forbidden, or he ate something without knowing that it is a forbidden food, he is generally obligated to bring a chatas offering. Should someone have reason to think that he might have unintentionally committed a kares-bearing sin, he may be obligated to bring an asham tului. Since the kares penalty is imposed by heaven, the practical consequences of kares-bearing transgressions are mainly the obligations to bring a chatas or asham talui. The major discussions in this tractate focus on these obligations. 1. The kares punishment. Our tractate does not define kares itself, likely because it does not make a practical difference. We present here a summary of Ramban's explanation of kares. Commentary to Vayikra, chapter 18, verse 29. When the Torah states that a transgression is punishable by kares, it uses different expressions. Sometimes it writes, that person will be cut off. For example, Vayikra, chapter 17, verse 4. And at other times it writes, that soul will be cut off. For example, Vayikra, chapter 22, verse 23. We also find the double phrase, hikaret tikaret, which literally means cutting off, it will be cut off. See Bamidbar, chapter 15, verse 31. Ramban explains that these three expressions refer to three different groups of sinners. Someone who is basically a good person but committed a kares-bearing violation because he was overcome with desire and then failed to repent will have his life cut short in this world, but will not have his soul severed from its spiritual source. Thus, he merits a place in the world to come. Concerning this type of sinner, the Torah states that person will be cut off. If, however, the transgressor is a sinful person whose transgressions outweigh his mitzvahs, his kares affects his soul after its departure from his body by cutting it off from heavenly life. This is indicated by the phrase, that soul will be cut off. Sinners in this group do not receive the physical form of kares and often live to old age. They suffer only kares of the soul. The Torah's double phrase, literally cutting off, it will be cut off, indicates double kares, early death and the loss of any share in the world to come. This punishment is imposed on someone who commits the grave transgression of idolatry or blasphemy. 2. Atonement for Kereisos. As mentioned, Tractate Kereisos deals mainly with the korbanos that must be offered to atone for the unintentional violation of a kares-bearing prohibition. In most cases, this atonement is the chatas offering, which is also known as a fixed chatas, because the korban is the same, female sheep or goat, regardless of the sinner's financial status. There are two kares violations, namely entering the temple grounds when one is tame and eating sacred foods when one is tame, for which the unintentional sinner brings not a fixed chatas, but a variable chatas, which is called the korban ole v'yored, literally offering that rises and falls, because it varies based on the sinner's financial circumstances. If the sinner is rich, he must bring a female sheep or goat, like other chatas offerings. If he is of average means, he may bring a pair of birds, one for an olah and one for a chatas. And if he is poor, he may bring a mincha, flour offering. A korban discussed at length in this tractate is the asham tului, literally suspended asham. This offering is brought by someone who is uncertain whether he committed an unintentional transgression. It suspends heavenly punishment for as long as he remains uncertain, but it does not atone for the sin. If he later finds out that he did in fact transgress, he must bring a chatas.